Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti here. Welcome to Live at 5. Hey, I told you so. I told you Palaszczuk was going to shut those. You heard it here. I'm telling you, you want to hear about tomorrow today? You need to tune in to Live at 5. Boy, oh boy, what a massive problem we got. We got two people that came from our state and we're on a party. Now we're locking it down. Shut the gate, shut the business. Keep those New South Wales people away. And boy, if you go, we're going to lock you away for 2 weeks. Do you know what I find amazing? I find amazing the fact that people are not reacting to this absolute socialist agenda. Now, I know people are sick and I know people are dying. Look, anyone's loss of life is something sad for all of us. No loss of life is something that we should take take easily. We must be concerned, but we're not protecting the elderly. We are not protecting the most vulnerable. This is the problem. Andrew's in Melbourne. He stuffed up that entire quarantine thing. What a mess, an absolute mess. And guess what? They're repeating the same problems. My definition of insanity, well, actually Zig Ziglar's, but we'll call it mine anyway, is if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. Now, I want to move away from that because I'm really hot to trot on this whole issue on the war of our children. And yesterday, for those of you that came on board and shared it went crazy, literally almost 800, 900 views. Could you please share this? Go to our YouTube and share the message. I want to continue this on the war on our children, but I want to take it on a different spin today. And please share this. Look, what's my credential? Well, number one, I'm a father of 3 awesome daughters. I'm a grandfather of 5 beautiful grandkids. For many years, for 15 years, I was director of Youth Alive, reaching, rallies up to 10 to 12, 15,000 kids at a time. Spoke to 1 million teenagers in a 10-year period and 2,700 high schools, both here in New Zealand and globally. So I think I do have credentials about young people. Even though I'm 60 years of age, I think I've got my finger on the pulse when it comes to kids. Let me tell you something. A child who is not taught correctly never can become a functioning adult. Now, all of us have got dysfunction. You can have the perfect home and a kid can go off the rails. After all, God had a perfect setting in heaven and he had one bloke that decided that he was going to be out and took a third of the angels with him. His name's Satan, but we'll leave him alone for a minute. Let's get down to some things that kids need, what children need. Now, you've got to instill this early. I really believe there are some non-negotiables. You see, our world right now lives in grey. I said yesterday that when you put on a cartoon, you don't know who the good people are and who the bad people are. They all look evil. When we were kids growing up, we had the Jetsons, we had the Flintstones. I mean, we had it all. Now, you don't know who the good guy and the bad guy is. You watch some of these dramas on TV. Even the good guys have got this dark side to them. Then there seems to be no real bright lights. I'm here to tell you something. Listen to me. There is no one right way to do a wrong thing. There is no way to do a wrong thing. Wrong is wrong. Now, the problem is today, we don't understand concepts of right and wrong. Our humanist agenda has assured us of that. Our pop psychology excuses wrong, as I said yesterday, when you've got psychologists out there explaining pedophilia as a sexual orientation. And what happens, guys, and before I get into my content, listen very carefully. They soften the blow. They use empathy, sympathy. They drip feed, just like Palaszczuk and some of these other premiers doing. Oh, we're going to lock down the pub, and then we're going to, before you know it, boom. They indoctrinate you first. Listen, if you want to sink a ship and have that ship be sunk without noticing, you're not going to blow up a big hole in the ship. You're going to sink it one drop at a time. Let me tell you, ships can sink one drop at a time. And our culture is sinking fast. And sadly, we've opened up the floodgates. Now, let me help you. Whether you're a parent, whether you're thinking of becoming a parent, whether right now you're in a second marriage or whatever, this stuff's going to help you. Here's some things that I believe our children need. They don't need to be marching down the street with the police banners and anarchy slogans. This is not where a child belongs. Number one, a child needs a compass. A child needs a compass that points them north. You see, right now, we have a culture that is everywhere and nowhere. Can I tell you something? Not all roads lead to Rome. The good book, the book of life, says that the road to perdition is wide, but narrow is the gate. And I'm not talking about restrictive living. I'm talking about establishing great boundaries in people's lives. You know, I, like most of you as a dad, have maybe sometimes been a little bit lax on some boundaries. But there are some boundaries that should never, ever be crossed. Number one, as a compass, you must teach young people honor. Honor authority. You may not like the authority, but you've got to honor it anyway. It's like school. When I went to school, I didn't like maths, I didn't like geography, I hated it all. But I remember once a teacher said to me, Pat, you need to do school for the disciplines that will teach you further on in life. We have to teach our young people to respect authority. For example, I don't agree with our Premier Palaszczuk. I don't agree with her at all. However, if she walked into my room or into my team, I would give her the honor for the role that she has. I can disagree with her, but I will give her the honor of the role that she has. And we must understand the concept of honor and respect. In my culture, it's big. For me, you want to push my buttons, dishonor, disrespect. I'm telling you, you got a long way to prove yourself to come back in. And unfortunately today, we don't teach it. You have parents that will side the child over a teacher. If I were you and my child had a problem with a teacher, and believe you me, those of you that have been in my community, you've heard me speak about situations that I've had. I would not embarrass a teacher in front of the child. I would not do that. I would go to the side, but I would always point that child north. I remember with one of my daughters, I said, this is your teacher. You need to become not only her best friend, you need to become her best asset, because she has 34 or 30 or 40 other students in this room. So we must give our children a compass and teach them things like honor. Honor is magnetic. Disrespect repels. Teach honor in the home. Do you know, I get concerned when parents wage war through a child on their partner, especially when they go through divorces. I couldn't tell you the amount of men, even to this day today, having to deal with a man who's been poorly dealt with by his ex because she wages war through the kids. The guy's suicidal, the guy's depressed, the guy's struggling emotionally. Spending an hour with him on the phone this morning, trying to get him to get his confidence up. Can I encourage you? Can I urge you? Do not wage war on your spouse through your child. You will teach him dishonor. There's a story told of Dr. Phil, and he's driving in the car, and his son speaks abruptly to his wife. Dr. Phil turns around and says, buddy, son, never talk to my wife like that. He didn't say your mum. He said my wife. For me, that applies to me too. You're not going to talk to my wife like that. You're not going to speak to her like that. I don't care what level of relationship it is, whether it's a step, whether it's a direct something, it doesn't happen. You sow that dishonor there, you're going to reap the harvest everywhere. Honor those in authority over you. Honor those in the home. Those in the home. The third thing that I really believe is very important is protect children from unnecessary conversations. You've got to quarantine our mouths, parents. There are certain things, certain conversations no child should ever hear. Now, if you want a child to learn about a particular thing, such as racism, honor, whatever it is, there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Posture is important. Respect is important. Navigating the hard questions is important. Do you know, I watch some parents bring children in to adult conversations that they should never hear. Now, you can't protect a child from life. You can't, but you can protect them from the negative influences of life to a certain degree that come out of your mouth. Your mouth can either be a fountain of life or it can be an absolute sewer. If you don't want your kid to swear, don't swear. Several years ago, I went to a high school in Victoria, and they were worried about the drug problem in the school. I went in there and I addressed the teachers. It was a lunchtime event, and I opened up the fridge, and it was full of grog in the teachers' green room. I stopped. I said, "Do you think these kids out here don't see this? You got grog here in a classroom, in a school setting. You are giving them a license to get to another level." Let me tell you something. If you don't want your kids to say it, you don't say it. You don't want your kids to repeat it, you don't repeat it. Do you know there are some family secrets no child should hear? Why do parents get off on doing that? It's crazy. Next thing is this. A child needs love and affection. Now, some of you out there, some of you guys go, "Oh, man, I'm not given to affection." Let me tell you where a daughter gets her understanding of love and affection from, her father. I've seen many girls over the course of my 42 years as a speaker, teacher, coach, presenter, and minister. I've seen many girls railroad their lives because they never got the right affection from their father, and therefore they went looking at it from some John in the backseat of a car or a toilet block in a nightclub. Yep, men, get your poop together. You need to show affection. Secondly, you need also to show affection to your son. There are boys that are craving for their father's affection. I have a friend of mine who many, many years ago built a 5,000-seat auditorium simply because he wanted the approval of his father. This minister railroaded his life. Ted Turner, one day when he won the Times Award for Man of the Year, he held up a photo of his father. His father used to beat him with a coat hanger. And he said, "Dad, I proved you wrong." Learn to be affectionate. Now, I know I'm speaking predominantly to Aussie men. Some of you need to drop the facade. You're not that tough. Matter of fact, let me tell you something. I've worked with some really tough blokes in my life. I've worked with some blokes who could snap your head off with their 2 fingers. And I found them to be sometimes the most affectionate, caring people when it came to their kids. Next thing, understand this as parents. Mums, listen to me. Some of you are your son's worst enemy. You are destroying this kid. Why? Mothers never let their sons grow up. Now, there is the exception, and I'm going to get slammed for this one. He's 40 years of age. Stop making him your little boy. He's 25, 30. Stop making him your little boy. Now, work with me. Dads, you know what we do? You don't let that little girl grow up. When my daughters got married, my 2 oldest daughters, the night before they got married, I spoke to my son-in-laws, both of them, and I said, as of tomorrow, you're in charge. You're in charge. I abdicate my role. Now, my girls are always going to be my little girls within reason. But here's what happens. Mothers overcompensate for their sons, especially if you've gone through a divorce. You overcompensate. Because of the brokenness of marriage, you try and do more, you try and cover more, you don't let him grow up, you don't discipline him, you don't put boundaries there, you dare not correct unless he disapprove of you or push you away and cut off any kind of affection. Therefore, this boy grows up an emotionally retarded person. And I use that word retarded respectfully. He's backward in his affection because he hasn't learned. He has not learned to be a man because you keep rescuing him. You keep compensating and making excuses. Dads, you know what dads are like? Your teenage daughter, she comes that time of the year, she's going through puberty, she has that time of menstruation. Oh my God, she's dying, protect her, call the doctor. What do women do? You get your butt out there, you go working out there. I've had to go through it, you know, every woman, you know why? Because women get it. Women get it. If you're going to go through your cycle, you've got to get out there. This is a big world, baby. We guys don't get it. I know I'm going to get slammed on this one. I'll tell you one of the things that activates a man's or a young man's growth. Learning respect. Let me tell you what will activate a girl's growth, learning affection. Learning affection. Now, I've got a whole series on this, by the way. If you're keen on, just inbox us and we've got it there for you guys, which you can get online. But understand, many times we don't understand the opposite sex in our children and we overcompensate. We overcompensate out of guilt. We overcompensate out of we feel that we're not good enough. And what we're doing is making better nails for ourselves. Let them grow. Let them learn. Let them make mistakes. Stop rescuing them and stop making excuses. You are making a rod for your back. The next thing the kids need is they need boundaries and freedom. The boundaries are set and the freedom is given once those boundaries are met. Can I encourage you as leaders and parents, if you're going to put discipline on a child, make sure you have agreement. One of you says, right, that's it. You're not going the iPhone, you're not going to the Instagram for a year. The other person goes, well, maybe let's do it for a week. And between a week and a year, you've got a big chasm there. You've got to come to agreement, not in front of them, beforehand. Any area of disagreement, your child will leverage it. You know that as parents. Come on, they play mum and dad off each other. They need a compass. They need a code of honor. Whilst I'm on that code of honor, you teach your child patriotism, to honor their country. Or if you don't like the country, go and live where you love. It's quite simple, really. If you don't like the rules of Australia, take your bags and go live somewhere else. Support the country you're in, or watch this, go and live in the country you support. It's quite simple. My father came to this country. This is where we live. This is what we honor. That is a big thing. You teach a child to dishonor country, you're going to teach a child to dishonor you, future and authority. And believe you me, they'll dishonor their bosses and places of employment. We have developed a culture of rights rather than a culture of service. When you go demanding rights, let me tell you something, quite frankly, you'll never get rich by demand. Not going to happen in a month of Sundays. Let me tell you what creates freedom and financial stuff. Not bitching and moaning about what someone else has got. You getting out there working. Which brings me to my next point. I better shut this one down before I get into too much trouble. Teach kids how to work. Teach your kids how to work. No one ever drowned in their own sweat, and neither will your child. You know what? I believe you should reward kids. I really do. Spoiling is never in the heart of the giver, it's in the heart of the person receiving, and you can correct that. But teach them how to work. Don't teach them how to milk a system. Don't teach them how to, do dodgy stuff on the side. Now, I know none of you listening to me are in that category. I'm just using this as an example. Teach them how to work and how to, once they earn something, they feel the greatness of the Lord. There is no greatness in handouts, trust me. There is no greatness, no sense of achievement, no sense of respect, no sense of honor, no sense of the magnificence inside that child. And the last thing, teach them how to navigate life. A child needs to know how to navigate life. How do they navigate life? We get back to the compass. Teach them values, honor, patriotism, respect, honesty, hard work, trust, love, affection. If you be a compass to kids, to children, they will correct you when you're out of line. And that's a beautiful thing. Because the best thing you want from your kid is them coming back and holding you to the standards that you taught them. It's not a judgment thing. It's a beautiful thing. Guys, this is Mesiti. Hey, listen, if you like today's monologue, please go there and like and subscribe. Make sure you tune in to our Reborn channel, and please share this message. I think it could be a really help, particularly in these troubled times. We need to help our children. We need to put, listen, a fence at the bottom of the mountain. Otherwise, we're going to have ambulances down the bottom. Let's build fences, and we can avoid ambulances. This is Pat Mesiti. You have a prosperous life.